My name is Patricia Irwin, and I love my church and I love my pastor. Okay, our church and our pastors all offer many opportunities to grow spiritually and to grow in self-discovery and to grow in social awarenesses. For example, the first time Kathy uh, introduced the Changemaker initiative, my whole body got excited and I wanted to jump right up and begin. It was so worthy and meaningful. Yet the first year when it was explained in a gathering, I suddenly felt insecure. I looked at my abilities and skills and decided it was way over my head. I was not that kind of leader and I was not that kind of person. So I watched and I listened, I thought about it, and I concluded that I didn't even have a passion to draw from. But God changed that. Just before the second year of change making, our church offered an opportunity to grow spiritually over in Scotland. I took part in the 64.5-mile hike in Scotland with Carol DeMonte's group. During this time, I kept wondering about change making. On this group, on this trip, I not only heard God, but I saw Jesus, which was an experience and feeling that I have never felt before, and one I will never forget. I had many spiritual experiences at Iona, and specifically inside the Cathedral of Iona. At one point, I burst into tears because I could feel God forgive me. I truly knew I was forgiven. There were many nooks and crannies that one could pray and even write a prayer. And at each location, I found myself saying the same thing. Help me, God, to listen to you. Help me to listen. Help me. Help me. At the evening communion service during prayer time, I once again said, help me, God, to listen to you. And suddenly I heard God say, stop talking, listen. So I stopped and listened. Later I heard, keep doing what you are doing. And I asked God, what am I doing? And hindsight told me that I was thinking deeply about this service and wanted to make the right decision. I was looking carefully at what the responsibilities were and the options. I began to listen to my wishes and dreams and rethink my abilities. I was guided to fill in the application for the training. That was my first step outside of my comfort zone. It was an opportunity to take the bull by the horns. Instead of watching the excitement, I was part of the excitement. It changed my life. One big step was picking out a broken area to work on, a passion that I could relate to or found my heart deeply concerned about. I had several and I narrowed it down to 4. I researched the 4 and picked out working with elders because my mother had died recently and I wanted to honor her. I thought up lots of creative ideas of what I might do. However, the more research I did, I started to tend to lean towards adoption. I'm adopted, and I'm what they call a transracial adoptee, one who is born into one culture, in my case, the Yurok culture, and lives in another culture. In my situation, it's the white dominant culture. Some people might think this situation is enriching, but to someone who has trouble feeling like they belong, it is hard to find one's identity. During my research, I found that adoptive parents and birth parents had many resources while adoptees had very little to support them. To make it worse, I learned that transracial adoptees had even less resources. And with this information, God guided me to work with transracial adoptees. Research showed me there were several issues common among TRAs. As mentioned before, issues of belonging, such as feeling you do not belong in the family that you're adopted into. I felt that way, with no physical traits similar, no personality traits similar, no history, and you can't talk about babyhood. And some adoptees' families were very loud in nature, while other adoptees were very quiet in nature. Trusting others and connecting with them, having a voice, and bicultural issues were all common. I could identify with all of those. When I learned that I was not alone, it made me change from a negative to a joyous feeling that I was normal. And that proved to me that God loved and accepted everyone, and wherever they are or whoever they are. I wanted to have other adoptees to feel the same way. So I'm creating a group of TRAs for the purpose of sharing our stories and our experiences and our journeys through darkness, which there's a lot, and light, which is also a lot. There were many changes in my faith. The first time I prayed for my project, the answer came back so quickly that it scared me. It truly frightened me. I was afraid. I felt the power of God. Now I understand what it means when you love God and fear Him at the same time. God is powerful. For a while, I was afraid to pray. Later, I started to pray just before I interviewed people or talked about my project. Sometimes my head will freeze because I'm nervous or afraid. But I knocked on the doors, walked in, and on the other side, there was God right beside me, helping me. I thanked Him as I walked to my car with a big smile, feeling energized and ready to tackle the next bull by the horns. Create with God right beside me, creating a new confidence in myself and feeling God's new presence. I want to end with Amanda Gorman's words she used in her poem at the inauguration. There's always a light if we are brave enough to see it, brave enough to be it. In other words, am I brave enough to see the broken places and to feel the hurt? Am I brave enough to help heal the world and do my small part? I answered God, yes, here I am, Lord, use me.